So you guys at IAB had a little seminar with colleagues, a little webinar quite recently. What were some takeaways of your conversation about IDFA and sort of some takeaways that you'd like to share with us today?
Well, we like that Apple didn't completely kill IDFA. Uh, they are providing choice and they're providing notification to consumers, and we believe in that. We think that's the right approach. Consumer transparency and choice. The consumer is at the center of this. Unfortunately, they did not work within open standards, so they continue to do things in a way that is very proprietary, and we're not so fond of that. We think that in this important area of consumer privacy, it is critical that we all work together and support a predictable consumer experience. If consumers have to do things differently to manage their privacy settings in every different device, operating system, website, that is a bad experience for consumers. They should be able to set their preferences once and have that apply cross-device, cross-channel.
So why do you think Apple has done it, and what do you think will happen with Google and Android?
Well, Apple is doing this very clearly to protect consumer privacy. But if you look carefully, they benefit more than this. So at the expense of an open publisher app ecosystem. So they're doing this to protect consumers, but there is going to be great cost to consumers. Consumers will have fewer choices with apps, and then we think that apps, because there will be a tremendous decrease in the funding available to apps. What they're doing will change the funding for the apps. So the apps will respond much the same way that websites have, with more ads, and there'll be less relevant ads. And so the apps have to fund the development of their operations and fund their innovation, and really to allow for wonderful consumer experiences. So they have to still fund that somehow. So they'll respond with more ads, more asks to subscribe, more paywalls, more subscription walls, etc.
So what do you think, what is the speculation, or what do you think might happen with Android? Of course, it's way, way bigger globally, far bigger than iOS. Do you think there'll be something similar coming from Google for Android around identity?
I think there will be, and I think we've seen this movie before, how the web and the browser, Chromium, and WebKit for Safari, and how that's played out. So Apple made choices in that environment to just kill third-party cookies. And Chrome within Google responded with some engineering proposals that is an attempt to be much more advertiser friendly. So Google is very advertising friendly, as is Microsoft, another leading browser. And so they'll respond, we believe, with clever ways to focus on an open advertising ecosystem. I think that they'll respond with, hopefully with a call for open standards and predictable experiences for consumers in this area. And I think that they will, as they're doing now with Privacy Sandbox on the web, I think they'll come together. They'll really try to over-engineer or out-engineer Apple, and taking more of a blunt approach that Apple's done. I think that they'll really be thoughtful and throw a lot of engineering effort into how we move forward as an ecosystem in the right way, supporting consumers and advertising experiences for those consumers who choose advertising experiences over a paid content or services. The most productive next step that publishers, brands, and for that matter, the platforms that support them, is to acknowledge that really the consumer is at the center of this. And consumers have different tolerance levels on this continuum of privacy versus personalization. Some consumers want the ultimate in privacy, some want the ultimate in conveniences of personalization. Those who have direct relationships with consumers have never been in a more powerful role, because they have that trusted relationship. And so they really need to lean into that trusted relationship with consumers. And we hope they'll work with us to establish a very clear dialogue with consumers about the value exchange that happens between ad-supported content and services and the delivery of those valued content and services. And we hope that they'll lean in with the vendors that support the delivery of these experiences around accountability, to make sure that the consumer's choices and their preferences are respected and propagated with full accountability across all the vendor landscape that supports those interactions.